Hey everybody, we're going to do a quick little review of the TWiFO or TWiFO report this week in futures options or this week in options, depending on where you are familiar with the report or where you're listening to the podcast. So we're going to try to be brief here, just give you an idea of what's available. The big thing we want to convey is that this is a demonstration of the subscription version, which we're now making available now as a standalone report. The free one is out there on the CME Group website, but this one where you can actually dive in and see detailed data about the contract, days to expiration, et cetera, across the board. And I'll get into all that as we go through the demonstration here. Want to show you a bit of overview about where everything is. So these tabs are going to take you into the specific time frame that they label here. That we're looking at this week right now. It's Friday, so this is showing pretty much the entire week. So if you come in on a Monday, you're going to see numbers that, especially in the changes on the volume and the open interest that are a little bit smaller because we're just always in comparison to the week prior. You can go back in time, look at last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks prior, and then of course we have some monthly sections over here as well. These four tabs, you're going to see clickable links here, and some of them will give you that specific weeks worth of information, and some of them will be more general, like the open interest one. But we'll just run across here and we'll take a look and dive into the different pieces, which is really what I want to show and show you the value of having the ability to pivot into that data and see that it's really worth upgrading to this live report. So what you're going to see here, if I hover over these links that look a little bit blue, you're going to see them on the expiration symbol, on the DTE, the future price, the strike, across the board, ATM, vol, shift and slide, risk reversal, the quick skew, the open interest, the put call ratio, as well as the most active open interest strike, the volume for the day total and or for the week, and then most active put or call and strike. So lots of info on here, and this is the change that we're seeing during the week. So for the April contract, now has 14 days left. Okay, this is going to show you what happened this week and so on. You can go and show more expirations here. I'm going to keep it at 6 just to keep the window tight, but you can go and pick whatever we have available for that particular product. You can display. I always leave these defaults because hide if no open interest and stuff like that. It's good. It's automatically on. You won't see stuff where there's nothing trading, and you want these totals. That's the green and these blue bars, so just leave them on. So I just generally don't mess around with it. Most active, that's going to affect this, and it's going to tell you which one is most active. So if you say call or put, it's just going to pick the call or the put, whichever one. It's not going to limit it to just the calls or just the puts, which you can do with this setting. And then the delta value is going to tell you which delta, risk reversal, or quick skew value you want to see. 25 delta, we like that one. It's sort of nice and easy to talk about. That's the one that generally is talked about in the market. So that's where we're going to stick here. So again, we go across, we have expiration information, volatility information, skew, open interest, and volume. You're going to see, for instance, in the future, how much it's changed so far this week. And if you hover, you'll see what the change has been today. Same thing with the strike, what the change has been in the week and what the change is today. And across the board, same thing. What happens to the change you see overall for the week, and then hovering, you'll see what's going on for the day. Now, what we really want to take a look at here is what happens when you click these links. And this is where the premium subscription version comes into play. So if I click on this June contract, it's going to take me into the contract summary report. And here you're going to be able to see everything that's gone on from an intraday volatility and intraday futures price standpoint. So you see how volatility has moved in the day. These green and red arrows tell you when the strike has changed. So this is a really, really nice way to review what's going on in a day. So you can see, volatility has moved, how it's moved, that type of thing, and also see it over time. Okay. What you're going to notice is as we click these links in the report here, it's just going to thumb through these different tabs. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the report and click those tabs. Just so you see what happens, but it's basically going to step through to these different tabs as you move across the report, and that's how it's really built, so you can sort of learn as you go. So in this case, it brought up the contract summary. We're going to look at the DTE report. Now, in my opinion, the DTE report is worth the subscription in and of itself, because what you're going to do, in this case, you're seeing 10 or 11 years worth of information for the crude oil, for each crude oil contract. So what the DTE report does, says, hey, 77 days to expiration. In each of the years that we have historical data for, this is what happened in the future in the at-the-money volatility in the straddle. So it goes back in time from that particular day. So you could see what was a week prior, a month prior, and then a week forward and a month forward. So you have future, vol, straddle, and then also the skew. So really powerful report, lots of information, tough to get that anywhere else. And this is everything all in one place. Really, really nice and useful. Then you have your futures information chart. So here you're seeing the current day. You can go prior. You can look at hours of time, days of time, weeks, month, year to date, and then a long-term 5 year. So really, good charts. You can see the rolling front month, chart type I leave alone. There's different things there, but I generally don't change it. In the date range, you already saw that. And then you can look at spreads. You also have tabular versions of the data. And then there's settlements, open interest. You can even look at the different spread builder where you can build the future spread and look at it historically. Good stuff there. Next thing we're going to go, we went from the expiration information, sort of things tied to the expiration. We'll go to the volatility. Here it's going to tell us how much the at-the-money strike has changed this week. So if I click on this June at-the-money, what it's going to do, it's going to bring me into a report we call the vol report. And this is, we wanted to give you where we are kind of right now, right? So telling us where the volatility is right now, but it's giving us a lot of information on this chart. So this is all the intraday volume across all the strikes. This is how the vol curve has changed. The solid is current and the dashed is settle. You see these different shades. So this is 1 standard deviation. It corresponds to this burnt orange. Then this is 2 standard deviation is to the orange. And then the yellow is the 3 standard deviation. So you get a lot of information on one page, where vol is, how many puts and calls have traded today, how much vol has changed, where the settlement is, how much it's changed for the future. And then you're going to see all the volume that's occurred and where it occurs in from a standard deviation standpoint. So super, super good report. And that's just on this tab. You have all this other information over here. Straight up volume from yesterday, the change, open interest up, open interest change, prices in Greeks. Really, really comprehensive report. Next, we're going to go to the at the money column, and this is going to show you at the money volatility. So we see that where it says we're up a little bit for the day. So if I click on this, it's going to show me, and this click is going to give me 1 month of historical at the money volatility. But again, just like the other reports, you can fan through all this other good stuff that's over here. So again, another solid dive into the data, and this is giving you up-to-date data throughout the day. Next, we're going to look at what we talk about quite a bit on the show. It's called the shift and slide. So in this case, you see volatility was up slightly, and we have a shift number is down, and the slide number is positive. So the shift is going to, I'll explain, and the slide I'm going to explain, and I'm going to explain that by showing you the volatility curves. So here's where we were last week to start, okay? And here's where we are now on the blue. Okay, and let me do this. I'm going to turn off the expected range. Okay, so we get a little bit more clarity in the background. And you see, here's where we were, and here's where we are now. So the shift, okay, that means the curve shifted down. So we had a little bit of a move down in volatility, and the slide we see kind of took us up. So we have an increase on the slide moving from a high strike to a lower strike, and we have a shift down. So there was an overall change in vol, which is that slight shift, but we had an increase from the slide and a shift down. So when I go back and look at this, we're going to see my shift was down and my slide was up for a slight bid in the volatility. So really good way of seeing the components of how the volatility has changed. Next thing we're going to see is the risk reversal and the quick skew. So you'll notice when I click on this, it's going to take me into the same vol history tab, but to another tab within this view. So in this case, we're seeing the straight up risk reversal. And if I click on the quick skew, it's going to take me to the quick skew tab. And this is just another way of looking at the risk reversal. In this case, we're saying how rich or cheap is a call or put to the at the money, and it shows that relationship over time. So really good stuff. We have some content about that you might want to read, but you also hear us talk about this quite a bit on the show. So definitely worth taking a look at. And then from there, open interest and volume information. So if I'll click on the open interest information here, we're going to see what the OI looks like for this June contract. And this is just going to give you an overview of the detail for the strike detail. It's going to show you the max call, the max put, all this other good stuff is over here as well. And I'll close this one up, and you'll see if I go over to the put call ratio, it's going to show me a chart of the put call ratio over time. Again, it's within that OI view, but again, more good information, and you get a little bit more detail here in terms of the info that's available. And then you have the most active from an open interest standpoint. So this is going to give you just another report about the most active strike. So again, these are views that are available in some of the free stuff, but this is giving you everything all in one place. It's giving you the historical look at the volatility stuff, and it's also giving you the DTE report. So you get a lot of stuff that you can dive into and really take a good look at what's happening in a particular market. And then we over to the volume. We see that if I click on, okay, so here's the volume, and it's going to break it down: Globex calls, block calls, Globex puts, block puts. So you have a nice comprehensive look at that. Again, you can play with the settings there as well. And then one of my favorite views, and this is, again, this is worth it as far as I'm concerned. If I click on this, it's going to tell me the volume each day, okay, how much volume, and then how much that volume was an actual change in OI. So I get the rank order of the most volume throughout the week for the calls and the puts, and then it tells me each day what the change in open interest is, so I can see what the OI was and what it is right now. So that's a detailed look at the volume, intraday volume across the entire week. So another solid report that's embedded as part of the click-throughs on the TWiFO, TWiO, whatever you want to call it, report. So hope that's helpful. And always, if you have any questions, reach out to support@QuikStrike.net or support@Bantix.com, and you'll see it up here. They both go to the same place. So one of us will answer your questions, but I hope you enjoy using the tool.